I'd like to call the meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission to order. Do we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Bites,
Here.
Commissioner Doherty,
Here.
Commissioner Frederick,
Here.
Commissioner Lee,
Here.
Commissioner Lawford,
Here.
Commissioner Malone,
Here.
and Commissioner Teeter.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have the approval of the minutes from the special meeting of January 8th.
Good to go.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Let's see, all in favor? Any abstains? Sure. Any noes? Thank you.
Are there any presentations for this evening? Oral requests? Unfinished business? New business? Committee chairs?
Yes, so at the last Park and Recreation Commission meeting, the commission was able to select who would go on to the different subcommittees, but no committee chairs were selected at that time. So we do need to go through and make those selections. So we could start with, Parks and Creek Trails.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What are the responsibilities of the chair?
Usually the chair is the person who will kind of start the committee report out. At this point, we're kind of changing how our committees operate. So that's going to be the person who's going to help organize any standard regular meetings, subcommittee meetings for you guys to talk about it. And then if there's other projects or work plan items, kind of helping to lead those amongst the subcommittee and reporting out to the commission on the regular meetings.
Based on our experience, I would recommend Commissioner Teeter.
Do we need votes for this one? Okay, so you want to do votes for that? Should you have a?
So we have Commissioner Teeter was asked to do it as chair, and vice chair is Commissioner
Oh, Frederick.
Frederick.
Yeah, he seconded. So
So we,
Motion came over there.
motion
motion came
came from
from there, from Brian.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, so motion. We have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstains? Thank you.
Yeah, only chair. So for Parks and Creek Trails, we have Chair Teeter, and then we have Commissioner Frederick and Malone, correct? Okay, I'm just gonna make sure I have the
Yes.
appropriate. Okay, so then the next one is Recreation. And we would need a chair for this group.
and who is this group?
I think this is Commissioner Lawford, Lee, and Bites. Is that correct? Okay.
I would make a suggestion to have Chair Lawford to chair the group.
Second that.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Thank you.
All right, last and not least, community building. No, we just need a chair. Yeah. So for the subcommittee of community building, who is on this one? Sherry Bites. Okay, gotcha. All right, so we just need someone to be nominated as a chair.
Somebody
You can't, yeah.
No, he has.
Yes. So we need a motion. There we go.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstains? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Now we are ready to review our annual work plan.
Yes, so at the January 8th meeting, we kind of reviewed what was on there for goals and work plans for the previous year. There was some discussion in between the January 8th meeting and this meeting. I also sent out emails to the subcommittees to encourage you to meet and discuss goals and work plan items. I did take a few liberties in this report and did some modifications. So I hope that you read it, and we are open to taking suggestions again and bringing back another finalized document, or kind of finalizing it here and approving it tonight. It's up to the commission how you would like to proceed with that. So if I did not capture properly for the group that met outside in advance and what you had shared with me over email, if I didn't get it in here properly, we can make those edits. But just let me know.
How does the work plan, the overall work plan, coincide with the committee work plans? Do they need to have overlaps, or can they be distinct things on our committee that maybe aren't on the commission plan?
Yes, so you can, we want to have just one set of work plans and not individual committee ones as well. So the committee ones need to be wrapped into the Park and Rec Commission as a whole. So if you have something that you've discussed that you would like to have be a work plan item, that means that your subcommittee is going to take the lead on it, but collectively as a commission, it's a work plan item for you for the year. Makes
Okay.
sense?
Okay, so we
So
would,
they need to be attainable and manageable within a calendar year too.
Yeah.
So think of work plan items in that sense too.
yeah. So we, on the recreation subcommittee, would need, we have a couple of items
Okay,
we would need to add in. Do you want to do that now?
sure, we can have some discussion about additional work plan items, and then your fellow commissioners can weigh in. Because I do want to say that the work plan items coming from a subcommittee are not solely the work of the subcommittee. So like, we need to keep that in mind, that the work plan items that we're doing are for everybody. The subcommittees allow for you guys to do work in between meetings, leading up to that. And so if, let's say you were to host a subcommittee meeting and someone couldn't attend, you could draw in another commissioner to kind of step in for that meeting to help out. You report out, and maybe at the next meeting you made some headway and you want to go through it, and you're going to need some help with X, Y, or Z to help accomplish said work plan. That's where other commissioners can come in and help out
okay.
too. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So shall I do that
Go
now?
for it. Mhm.
Okay. Since we just discussed it, we had two items that we would like to start focusing on. One is pedestrian and bicycle safety approaching and within the community center. And for the first step that we would take would be to maybe propose a joint study session with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. And number two would be gathering information about the needs of the older adults who are using the recreation services. And in hopes of that leading to some initiative, but we need kind of the data first.
Okay.
So we thought of 3 sources. Do you want that detail?
No.
No,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Any other committees that want to provide work plan items or suggestions?
A quick question for you on the work plan items. Did you used to have participate in the fun run and I noticed that came off. Is that,
So I put that under bullet number 5, actively participate, support, and promote local community events hosted by a recreation department or other community groups in Campbell. I was trying to not be specific
Sorry.
into those ones. And if you went through the report today, the next item on new business is special events and community events. So we're hoping to have those events in front of you kind of at a 2-month glance and looking at things that are provided not just by us, but also other service groups in the area. Like Bunnies and Bonnets Parade is not hosted by us, but we do participate in those things. So keeping you abreast of those.
I found it.
Looks like there's a bullet for different goals. Same thing.
So could that work plan item be kind of considered as our subcommittee's charge or?
That's really up to you.
Okay,
This is the
Yeah.
work plan for the Park
for
and
the
Rec
part,
Commission.
okay,
How you elect to implement it is really your call. So if you want to, as you are dividing into your subcommittees, if you want to charge one subcommittee that, okay, we're going to take this goal on behalf of the larger commission,
okay,
and then when you come back to your monthly meetings, you report out on progress.
And so
Okay.
something like Bunnies and Bonnets or Valentine Fun Run, it's not the responsibility of just the subcommittee that does community building. Everyone participates and is part of that event or activity.
great.
Another way to look at your work plan items is the work. And so if you were to say in December, what did we as a commission accomplish? You could go back to your work plan and be very specific of here's what we accomplished towards these work plan items or the 4 goals, but the work plan is kind of a little bit more specific. Okay, so we did the 5 work plan items, just so for a quick review that I had put in here was conducting annual review of funded CIP projects, utilizing the Parkland Dedication Fund through the current year. Review, provide early input and prioritize proposed 5-year CIP projects pertaining to parks and recreation facilities. Those are fairly standard things that we bring to the commission every year. This one was hosting a community building event, and what that looks like for the commission was something that I had put in there for the new subcommittee. Host at least 2 Parks and Recreation Commission meetings in local parks to engage with the community and raise awareness. Actively participate, support, promote local community events hosted by the Recreation Community Services Department and other community groups in Campbell, and conduct a park and recreation facilities tour. So Commissioner Loffer has suggested the addition of a pedestrian and bicycle safety approaching and within the community center. So we can talk about that one and what the commission feels like. And then the additional one would be gathering information of needs of older adults using recreation services. Comments, questions?
I think everything looks good now that I have my pages collated properly. Yeah,
No, we appreciate all the together. It makes a lot of sense. There were some areas that they didn't want that one another. So there are some areas we would like to be involved.
Did I capture those properly? From your email? So those were under the goals to organize and participate in volunteer-driven park improvement projects such as tree planting. Yeah.
We're thinking about approaching the youth commission, maybe go to one of their meetings.
Mhm.
Based on you guys feel that although parks that I were really good. And I know that some of us really want to get involved more in the 5-year review of the 5-year plans, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the work.
Okay. So your options now include a motion that would include the approval of what's in the report with the addition of Commissioner Loffers or approving the report as is. So that's kind of the next step we're at.
I'll make a motion to approve the report with the addition of Commissioner Loffer's suggestion. Second.
So you have a motion on the floor to approve the work plan with the additions from Commissioner Lawfer. The motion that came from Malone, seconded by Bites. We
Okay,
have not taken the vote yet.
and is this a roll call vote? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstains? Any noes? Thank you.
So our city council might be having, I know we talked about this last year and we didn't actually organize it properly, but having your work plans presented to city council. And at this point, I'm not certain if it'll be done through the staff liaisons or if they'll be asking one of the commissioners to come to a city council meeting, but I'll keep you up to date and let you know at the March meeting. Okay.
And this is all the stuff that's included in the budget.
Okay, next on our agenda is community events.
All right, so again, thank you. I think this was something new I decided to add in, so I'm looking to have a 2-month calendar provided to you guys at every Park and Recreation Commission meeting, just so it's in writing, not me just verbally telling you. And so you have kind of an ongoing list. If you would like this to be longer, I'm happy to take suggestions on how you do this. But just quickly, this weekend is going to be a busy weekend. We have our Valentine Fun Run on Saturday. We have almost 900 runners that will be coming out to Campbell Park. We do not do on day or morning day of registration. That's the word I'm looking for. And so they'll be doing pack up pickup on Friday at Sports Basement, and then our race will be on Saturday morning. So it will be a clear, beautiful day, rain-free, because that's how we operate our Valentine Fun Runs, just so you know. And then Lunar New Year is a 50-plus event at the banquet hall on Sunday from 5 to 7. And I forgot to check when I got home today, but I think they were close to 90 people enrolled for that on Super Bowl Sunday. So it should be a great event. The entertainment that comes is really outstanding. Monday, February 17th, it's the Early Settlers, the 133rd Annual Heritage and Early Settlers Day. This is hosted in our banquet hall. Tickets are $25. It's an 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. program where they usually have a historian or someone come in and speak. It used to be done through the Early Settlers group, and now the Campbell Chamber Community Foundation has taken that on. So a lot of people from Campbell participate and go to that. So if that's something that interests you, you can check on the Chamber's website. We are hosting, so then the next big thing is Saturday, March 1st, and we have 3 events. We're doing an annual open house that we do where we have vendors who are operating camps, and then our staff as well there for parents to come see what programs we're offering in the summer. We also have free swim assessments, so you can get your kid in the pool and get them enrolled into the right swim level so that there's no questions or confusion. Our Youth Commission will be hosting a teen wellness and opportunities fair on our campus that day. They'll be meeting in M50, and they generally have great resources come in. Last year they did this, and they had like the county nutritionist and NAMI and the therapy dogs come and those kinds of things. And then we open up our main gym and weight room for the teens to work out and just kind of hang out together. And then from 12 to 2, we're doing our skate park renovation community engagement event out at the skate park. And we have 2 skate professionals coming to that event to help with the community engagement. And the consultants or designers that we have hired will be coming with a preliminary plan of kind of what could that space look like within what the city's budget, and then getting feedback from the community on what they like and don't like, so that they at least have a starting ground to kind of show what the space could look and feel like. So that's what we have from now through March. Any questions? Happy to answer questions.
It's a nice addition. I like it.
Good.
That's impressive, the amount of events
Yeah.
ongoing.
Mhm.
This is great.
summer will be like 2 pages.
So now we move to committee reports, our Parks and Creek Trails.
Okay, Brian, Michael and I met the first time and each took a couple parks to go visit. And then you saw the list of things we'd like to get involved in. And then we haven't decided at this point which of the parks we'd like to hold the commission meetings in. I personally like the two parks that I've been, I know we haven't had commission meetings at Jack Fisher or Edith Morley. And Jack Fisher's a little smaller, he has 2 picnic tables, but Edith Morley has quite a few. There's some interesting little trails that you can take around here. So that would tours over there. But I was very impressed. I'm always impressed with the parks. Something is in good shape. Bathrooms are clean. That was the case of Edith Morley and Jack Fisher Park. Oh, that ran Jack Fisher Park. It's gonna take a tour, and I saw a staff guy out there doing his thing. You know, he's pointing out ring. That's an interesting park because it has a forest around, circular grass, filled with kids playing, youth bathroom. I guess they're redoing some of the playground.
Some holes were replaced.
Okay. And then even more, oh my gosh, I've been out there with trails and trails and stuff. Please, I can't tell what community part, community garden, whether those, all the planter boxes are being used or not. It's winter, so it's hard to tell. A lot of them look like farm. And I was wondering too, that park cannot have, it's not safe for girls, but
Edith Morley,
it's all.
there's no, the harbor.
So that's what I'm saying. I was wondering, is that a possibility that we actually add the funds?
It probably was something to talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, then I remember that, if it's not a safety issue, it's a financial issue. Then we can talk about that. That's okay. And then we'll.
Children. To me, it looks great. I mean, we see this very often. There's a lot of notice, the fine detail. Even going by it today, it seemed like you guys were still on it after the big storms, but I thought that was great to see. John D. Morgan, I know it looks like that parking lot needs in need of repaving. I know that's coming up, but that was just something I noticed. Question I had for the city is who maintains the baseball field facilities? Assuming it's not, Parks or Rec, I don't know how that's
The building or the fields?
I guess the fields and the fencing. The big thing that I saw is the fencing along the outfield there and left field.
I think Bob has a
No, that's
comment.
yeah, Campbell Pony League does the fields and the fencing
that's
and
right.
stuff,
Would you guys maintain
the building.
building itself? Okay. Yeah, noticed that. That just after going by it this weekend, since the last time I really checked it out a few months ago, I thought the grass looked better. But ultimately, it did look good. There was some grass. It looks like that was coming up on one of the softball fields. But nothing I assume that they could easily take care of. But overall, I thought John D. Morgan looked good. And again, the grass looked fantastic from the last time I was really there checking it out. And then the other park that I had was Stanovich, which I did not get to, unfortunately. I did also get to the Water Tower Park, and I saw that it looks like there was some new flashing installed to prevent citizens, or not citizens, from climbing up it and trying to vandalize it. So I'm glad to see that you guys were on top of that after last month discussed that. That's all I had. Brian, if you have.
I visited Virginia Park. It's in stellar condition. I mean, I think it was installed in 2023, but the whole park is just perfect. I did also participate in the master plan public outreach. That was a great presentation. I was really happy to hear that public input really valued sustainability. And I think some of the like the projects that the Open Space Authority funded for Edith Morley and for Stavanovich, which is also in great shape, including the native plantings, which is sometimes hard to keep them looking like a park atmosphere. I think there are opportunities in other parks for that type of thing. And certainly, you'd see that with just the edge plantings, you know, for providing habitat, and then plants that are more adapted to our region. So that's something I'm definitely thinking about. And then I also was assigned to look at the San Jose parks, or we agreed to, I would look at the San Jose parks that have a community interest. And I had a question of whether we ever contribute to like the facilities, which some of them, particularly Santa Mas, and I didn't make it to the other part, but are a little run down, or is it just like kind of helping with volunteer projects for general upkeep? Like if that, like for instance, the basketball courts could use, you know, new backboards and rims in that park. Is that something Campbell would potentially contribute to, or is it really just you know, helping to organize beautification projects? Kind of?
So up to this point, our support has been through annual volunteer projects.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, having said that, our staff has assisted with the maintenance and rehabilitation of those parks leading up to the events. So
Mhm.
there has been some preparation work done in years when we knew we would have 100 volunteers at Hammond Park, as an example. Our park staff would meet with San Jose Park staff, and prior to that event, they might go through and do some tree trimming or stump grinding and help get the park ready for 100 volunteers.
Right.
That has been the extent. And I will say that it can be challenging to work with City of San Jose, because just to give you an example, we did this same exercise this last year thinking we were going to have a joint event at Hammond Park. And our staff did go out there in advance of but when it came down to organizing the volunteer effort, the City of San Jose couldn't identify a lot of elements for that day that we could help with.
Right.
So we were pretty limited. Now, having said that, if we were able to fund improvements with them in a joint manner that, you know, maybe would help memorialize and improve the recreational amenities for Campbell residents as well, I think we would be open to that. And by that, I mean, you know, in other agencies I've worked in, and we've done joint projects with a neighboring school, you might say that the improvements on this site were also funded by this other agency. I think if we could do something like that, we would definitely be open to it, but I don't know that we would just kind of go over there and take care of some improvements without, you know, with I would say without memorializing what those improvements are.
Yeah, sure.
But those could be, you know, relatively minor, as you mentioned. It could involve in improvements in the hard courts. And to use another example that's not San Jose Park, if we were hypothetically to work out something with county parks and make the improvements to the dog park, I would see us doing it more in that way, because if we're going to invest a reasonable sum of money, I think the Campbell residents should be able to identify where their funds were used and how they benefit the community. So yes, we're open to it, but we haven't done a lot of that with City of San Jose.
Yeah, good. And then I had one, I did like take a more of a look with an area of John D. Morgan that I really never checked out. And there's kind of an unused kind of just, it looks like there's some sort of old, maybe track facility on the back edge of it. And I was just curious as to what that is and if there's any plans for improvement, or is that a place where improvements could be made in the future?
So that park is unique because the property line for the school runs directly through the park. So there's like a MOU between the city and the school district. that the green space is open. And so that part over there is highly used for the kids, and not something that we program or, I think you're talking about past the bowl and then there's that ledge along the fences and things.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's like some old, like maybe remainders of
Yes.
pork or, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's mainly used by the school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, recreation.
We met earlier today. We did meet. We exchanged some emails also. And we just came up with the two items that we discussed earlier.
Thank you. And the community building, I guess that would be us. And we have not met, but we are planning to
We
meet.
will.
So I know I'm working at the registration packet pickup.
I'll be there Saturday.
I'll be there Friday. So,
I'm gonna aim for the open house. Do you need volunteers for the open house as well? Okay.
Even just coming, being present, checking things out is also an important part of kind of seeing what the community's doing.
Okay.
any other comments?
I'm coming.
Okay, staff reports, parks.
Okay, we will start out by asking Bob to come on up.
Well, good evening, everybody. I did make note of your comments, and I'll make sure I pass those on to the actual people that are doing all that detail work, and they love hearing about it. So thank you for that. A couple of things behind the scenes that you probably wouldn't see us doing is our irrigation inspections on Bascom, Hamilton, and Winchester. We completed those a few weeks ago during the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then this last weekend, we returned with our crews to repair all the irrigation issues they found. And that way we stay off of the major arterials during most working hours, things like that. They usually work Friday night into Saturday. So that was a big success. It's great to get that off our work plate. Some of you may have noticed that there's some cleanup at the Community Center marquee on the corner of Winchester and Campbell Avenue. We're doing a light refresh of that landscape. It has some netafem in there and some older plant material. We're just kind of giving it a little spruce up, and we hope that you like it when it's all done. Another item we've done is installed a new drainage system at the Community Center main sports field. We had an area that was consistently wet, and we finally got enough rain to see if it would actually do what it's supposed to do. And the report is it is working. As more rain comes forward, we'll find out. So that's really exciting. Allow the participants more area to play. And then finally, kind of picking some things that aren't really super noticeable. The 2nd Street parking garage has some art boxes. They're brick, and then they have a nice artwork behind them, and they have a asparagus fern in front of them. And the asparagus fern was about this big. We went in there, cleaned it all out, removed all the leaves, gave the artwork a little wash down to spiff up the area. In addition, a group of volunteers removed about 40 burlaps full of sycamore leaves. So those are a couple of the items that we've been busy on. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Just a question on responsibility. So that Parks does all the medians, or is that like because it's a mix of public works and parks, or?
The Parks does the irrigation, programming and repair. The actual trimming, pruning, weed spraying, that is done by contract.
Okay, and then the housing into Green Street's fantastic. improvement years ago, but is that also something that Parks maintains? Because it's a little bit more complicated as far as infrastructure.
Correct. It's much more complicated and it's the same business model.
Yeah.
Service model, contract for all the maintenance, and we do the irrigation.
Did you see any damage or issues from the rain and wind yesterday?
Thankfully, no. We've been aggressively pruning trees and trying to make the city safer. We can never make it safe. You never know when something's going to happen, but we're doing our best and making progress with the support we've been given. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob. Just to touch back up on your question about parks versus, I think you said parks as opposed to public works. So parks in Campbell is part of public works. So it is a little bit, I don't want to say unusual. It's maybe not so traditional that your park staff would be out maintaining other landscaped areas outside of parks. So in Campbell, because we're small and compact, so Public Works has the responsibility for any and all landscaped areas across the city. And the way we implement that is exactly as Bob described, where our park staff is doing the irrigation work and then managing the maintenance contract. And that's kind of also applies to Hacienda as well, exactly how he talked about. Coming back to a couple of capital projects, one almost in progress and one not. It was mentioned earlier tonight about one of the parking lots at John D. Morgan. And I've talked to you before about what we call the expressway parking lot, which is the one that runs along the sound wall. That was recently awarded by council, and we have finally got through the process of executing the contract. The pre-construction meeting was held January 30th with our selected contractor. The work will start during the first week of March and will run approximately 2 months. There will be, parking lot will largely be closed during that time, but maybe not completely. We may be able to stage it. The project will involve a lot of removing failed pavement and replacing that. It will also involve the addition of some ADA parking stalls, because what we have out there right now is not sufficient. So we will fix that, and it will also provide for separation of the pedestrian path away from the parking lot. So we'll have a little bit more safety and security, and hopefully we'll also have the secondary benefit of keeping those unauthorized private vehicles from going through the park to do their own picnic setup that I know you've all seen at various times. Regarding the project that is not quite a project yet, but may finally be getting some positive momentum, I've talked to you about the dog park at Los Llanos Creek County Park, which I mentioned a little bit earlier in passing. We do have that as a funded project in our parks CIP. And we had been attempting to work with the county on how we could approach a renovation project out there. The county had been considering a ban on synthetic turf, which did not pass. Which is not to say that they don't have concerns about the type of material, but the all-out ban that was being considered did not pass. So Ron and I had a meeting earlier today with county park staff, and we are going to continue to work with them. We've got a couple of different specs that we would recommend for installing to replace the synthetic turf out there, and if it meets with county's approval, we will very likely move forward with that, hopefully this fiscal year. And there was already discussion that if we can successfully complete that, a second phase of that project might be installing additional seating and shade areas. So we will continue to work with the county and continue to keep you updated on that project as well. Happy to answer any questions about either of those two.
I just had a question, because I did check and look at the county report, and then Community Greenfoot was also sent out, asking people to encourage people to vote for it. And one of the concerns is the little pellets that you had on top.
Yes.
Are there versions, particularly for a dog park, where you wouldn't need that, or is that something where, like, where you might be able to address the county's concerns with artificial grass.
Yes, so most of what I read about the concerns about the prohibition had to do with the infill material. And typically, the infill material that was being described was largely what you see on sports fields. It's kind of what they call that rubber crumb material, the recycled tires, and that is a concern, right? So I think it's fair for any agency to consider installing that or being careful how they install that. That is not what you typically see in a dog park. So the two models that we're looking at, one would have an infill material that is largely a sand. It's basically a sand material, but it's coated with some sort of chemical, and this is where we have to work with the county to see if it's acceptable. That really helps keep keeps the site sanitized. So there's this installation where you install the turf, you install the infill, and then as you irrigate it to cleanse it, it kind of keeps everything, nice and tidy and hopefully pleasant smelling. There is a second model out there that we've also found that uses no infill material. But because of that, it does require a little bit more rinsing and draining. And we've actually looked at the city of San Jose because they've built, I think, 15 or so dog parks across the city. And we have found installations of each type. So we're trying to work with the county, and hopefully they'll be able to visit the same sites. But if any of you would like to visit the sites, one site is at Saratoga Creek Park, which is kind of, if you remember the old Orchard Supply over Westgate West, the park right behind that runs along Lawrence Expressway is called Saratoga Creek. That is the park that uses the infill material. And then there is another park over where Camden and Hillsdale split. If you follow the Camden split, there's a park on your left-hand side called Roy Butcher Park. And it's kind of bounded by Camden, I think Ross on the other side. That is the material that does not use any infill. So if you happen to be out there, Parks and Creek Trail Subcommittee, if you want to expand your horizons, and then, if you have any input that we could take forward in that discussion, we'd be happy to hear your thoughts on that as well.
I'm just glad to hear that you're looking at the methods to address what the county's concerns are. Even that you'll be able to go move forward with artificial grass.
Yes.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I've noticed that there's an awful lot of kids who ride electric cars, bikes, scooters. There doesn't seem to be any regard for who's ahead or are there any rules like that?
There are. I don't know that we post specifically for those things, but it probably is worth us revisiting our park rules, because I know that historically those issues have come up on the Creek Trail. And we tried to put in advisory signs and warning signs about speed limits, which quite honestly are very infrequently enforced because we don't really have the ability to enforce, but at least letting people know what the rules are is sometimes half the battle. We may need to revisit that for parks like John B. Morgan, where there is a large or a long off-street path that connects to other areas, because I know I've experienced exactly what you're saying. And now we've kind of got an increase in the number of, shall we say, mobility devices out there that are available to folks. So they can go flying by you at a pretty good clip.
And I tell you, they're coming.
Exactly, yeah, because these things are really quiet too. So we can take a second look at the park rules, and if we need to put some advisory signs up along a trail, whether it's Los Gatos Creek Trail or a trail in John B. Morgan, we will certainly consider that. Sure.
I'm just curious about when we do the close the parking lot. Do we expect there to be a parking crisis? Because I know that the parking lots are already pretty full for John D. Morgan, and will we be putting up signage around the park to let people know?
We will have signage, and there will be impacts.
Okay.
I mean, it's hard to say that there won't, because any of you that came to this meeting tonight know that there are parking impacts on this side. It happens. So, you know, it's kind of a battle, because to do paving work, you can't do it in the middle of winter, right? You need temperatures. But you also don't want to do it in June, July, and August when the park is really at peak. So the compromise that we're trying to hit here is March is when we think that we can do this sort of work, March to May. And then hopefully we are good for all the summer camps and things that we like to and the increased usage at the park. But certainly over that time frame, I expect impacts. What we will try to do, and I can't commit to this to you quite yet because I need a little more information, would be to limit the closures to maybe Monday through Friday, and then do what we can to open up portions of the parking lot on weekends. I don't know that we can do that every weekend, but there may be periods there where we can lock the construction areas off a little bit better on a Friday so that there is at least some parking available on the weekend. I will get you better information on that for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to that. I know the west parking lot by the, I guess, Bud there is very difficult to get a parking spot. For the paving project, though, we're only talking about that sound wall, that parking lot.
Correct.
There. So it sounds like there will be signage that will be up.
Yes, there will.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of, as somebody with a child trying to get your child to the park, it's very difficult already as is. What I've seen a lot of people, park goers, doing now is they park in the CSI parking lot and then basically cut around the school to get over to the soccer fields and everything else. Is there some sort of agreement that's worked out as far as access there? Because I think there's a gate that they leave open is there an agreement between the city and the school district?
Well, that is part of the MOU that Natasha mentioned. So in theory, we have this shared use agreement. It's the day-to-day implementation that sometimes proves challenging, because when the school is in session, they don't really want those sorts of activities to happen. And so the challenge has been, allowing the gates to be open after school hours and on weekends so that park users can access the site. I can't speak to the reliability of that because this is really, I don't hear about that concern too often, but something that we certainly need to follow up on.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I know that is because I pick up my children at that school every afternoon. So I see that happening, and it looks like there's a bunch of people at the school and they're going to the park. But you can't blame them because there's not many parking spaces to get over there.
Yeah, I mean, the gates to the basketball courts, every time I've been there, have been open.
Are that,
Oh,
good?
good.
That's good to hear.
That's good.
That's good.
And I did want to make just one comment as someone who rides a silent electric vehicle. I think it is important to have signage up. That's not always being that the technology seems to be developing faster than the regulation. I think it's slowly catching up. And as a rider, also want to apologize for the experiences you guys had.
I'll tell you one other piece. There has been a couple of incidents where really young kids are riding and not looking up at all.
Oh, I know.
And you look and you think, boy, that could be risky.
Okay, is that it for parks? Yes, yes. Okay, recreation.
All right, so on top of the events coming up this weekend, we had 6 firms respond to the RFP for the architectural and schematic design for the evening for the adult center renovation. So we got through those. We have invited 3 firms back next week for interviews, and then we'll be kind of getting that project up and running. Our summer camps and swim lessons, we do an online activity guide for people for early bird registration. So that should be going online in the next few weeks. And our registration will be March 11th for our residents and March 12th for open registration. And you may or may not have heard, but the pool was recently down due to a leak. But those repairs have taken place and the pool has reopened this week. The Heritage Theater will be finishing out their season of shows They have serial killers with Dr. Scott on Saturday, March 1st at 8 p.m. Velocity Irish Dance featuring David Geaney on Friday, March 14th at 8 p.m. and the Commodores on Saturday, April 5th at 8 p.m. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
All right.
Any questions? Okay, for the good of the game, we'll start with Brian.
I mentioned it earlier. But I mean, the master plan process, I thought that was really well done. And whatever engagement that we can participate in, helping develop that, definitely very interested in. And really, I think the people there and certainly myself, got excited about the future of Campbell Parks. Like even some of the, and they were clear it was aspirational to add new parks, but there was a lot of interest to add parks near people that had less parks in the area, and particularly underserved communities. So it's just really exciting to going through that and the opportunities for the future.
Going in. Okay. I'm going to add on to you because I was also at that community meeting. And I just want to say you guys did a beautiful job of running the meeting. I really like the way you engaged everybody at the meeting. I'm very impressed with our consultants. So good choice. And I'm also excited to see the results of all this data that they've been collecting. So that's my first one. And I have one that's a little out of scope, but I just wanted to mention that I read an article in San Jose Spotlight about the traffic safety improvements to Civic Center Drive. I'm very impressed. I walk that a lot because I live in that area and I'm walking downtown all the time. And I am often yelling at the drivers who do not recognize that I am in the walkway. So I'm really pleased to see that that's going to be taken care of. Thank you.
I just have one more question. The library, do we have a timeline on when that might be completed?
Yes. The library building will be complete in July.
This July?
Yes.
Open
Wow.
to the public?
However,
Okay.
Hold on, two different
that
things.
says the library will be complete. That means the city will have completed its project. We then will hand it over to the library district. I would anticipate another 2 months of them moving in, getting the site ready. Yeah, maybe. So 2 to 3 months. So I'm thinking maybe September, October when they actually open. But I can't speak to that because that's not our process. Our process is to build them the building.
That's great news. I was expecting to hear longer, so that's great news. That's good.
Well, a lot of people are asking. When is it being-
That one is a little bit of a different animal. That one is more like September. And that one, we are responsible for furnishing the building. So when that building is complete in September, it will be ready for use. But that is only phase one of the police project, right? So in phase one, we build them the new building, it's furnished. PD essentially moves out of where they're at now into the new building. And then we go renovate the space that they've left behind. That will take another 6 months or so.
And when you renovate that, is all configuration going to change?
No, it will essentially be, other than the addition of a conference room down there that will be accessible for all city uses, that will essentially be the evidence storage area. So a lot of the evidence that's stored at the courtyard and at the community center will be centralized. So they will be pulled into one location, we hope.
Sounds like a good plan.
I don't have a question, but I guess just since being on this commission, I've visited the rec center a lot, and I not necessarily because of being on this commission. I think just having children, it's always great to see how many people utilize the space and how many different third-party organizations are running classes and other things. Like, yeah, just it's impressive.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I take a body conditioning class twice a week with the seniors. And it's wonderful. The instructor's good, the facility is great. We had a community emergency response team annual meeting in what is it, M? Yeah, we filled it up with our folks. And then I was there Tuesday night with another CERT group, having a training session. So the availability to the public and organizations is wonderful. We really, really appreciate it. And we're so glad you have the library over there.
Okay, well, I don't have anything to add to that, so with that, I will conclude this meeting.